White Gold Corporation is a new company. It was formed in 2016. It's a very unique junior mining company for a number of reasons. The first one is that we're located in the White Gold District, as Ann mentioned, and we're actually the largest landholder there. We now accumulated about 400,000 hectares, which is about 1 million acres. The opportunity to control a district is something that we found particularly appealing, and we're keen to pursue that. And I'll give a little background on how that all came to be in a minute. Even more sort of attractive to us was the opportunity to have a district in such a underexplored jurisdiction in a mining-friendly territory like the Yukon, Canada. It's almost unheard of in this day and age to be able to come across an opportunity like that. And the third thing that makes our company very unique, and I think it's primarily a factor, the first 2 points I mentioned, was that our shareholders include Agnico Eagle and Kinross, who own just under 40% as a group. So, albeit a new company, there's a lot of pedigree here and a lot of experience that's gone into the company, and very happy to sort of take the opportunity to share that with you guys. So I'll touch a little bit further on some of these points. In addition to our partners, one of the other key factors in our company are the people. So this land package was compiled by Sean Ryan over the last 15 years. Sean Ryan, as many of you know, is a notorious prospector. He's been working these claims for almost 2 decades now, and through that time he's had tremendous amount of success. So this is an area that's had a prolific amount of gold recovered from it. From the turn of the century, it's been a very active placer mining district. Over 20 million ounces of gold has come out of these placer creeks. And the question that everyone's sort of been asking themselves since those times is, where did all this gold come from? And we, like our partners and majors, we believe that the source of this hard rock gold has not yet been found. Although we're starting to see instances of some of the potential sources. And 2 of Sean's claim blocks have had major discoveries on them in the last several years. One being the Golden Saddle deposit, which was explored by Underworld Resources and sold to Kinross for $140 million in 2011. And then there was obviously the Coffee deposit, which was sold to Goldcorp in 2016 for $520 million. So there's a tremendous amount of stuff that's happening, but literally we're still scratching the surface of this prolific district. Here's just sort of a step back of how fast and how much has happened in the last 10 years. The first picture there shows the claims that have been explored over that, 10 years ago, almost nothing. And here we see who's in the district with ourselves and Newmont, who had recently acquired the Goldcorp, and have elected to keep that deposit and are continuing to work on it to sort of see exactly how big they think that can get to. That's a little bit of the timeline I just went over. Here's our capital structure, which I mentioned. And then, so here in a nutshell is our property package. As you can see, it starts at the north of Dawson, and at the south, we're bordering on Western Copper, their big asset over there, and the Newmont Coffee deposit, which is continuing to sort of look more and more impressive. Something else that's happened in recent years, which is a real game changer from our perspective, is that the territorial and federal government had made the decision to invest very heavily in the infrastructure required to support mining. A further validation of the fact that this is such a tremendous jurisdiction based on that factor alone. A big part of that project, which is, I think, the budget of a couple $100 million at least, is running a road from Dawson down to the Coffee deposit to help the development there. And these are roads that are already existing, placer roads primarily, which are going to be upgraded to haul grade roads. What that does for us is that opens up the entire district, which, as I mentioned, we are, all over it. And, in addition to the 40% of district we control, based on the work that we've done in the past, we think that we probably own now about 80% of the targets in the district. So a total game changer. It completely alters the economics required to bring something to sort of value. Once, as we fast forward and there's mills that are being built, any sort of satellite deposit can be trucked to one of these mills. So how did this all come together? Sean Ryan owned all these properties, as mentioned, optioned them off to different companies throughout the years. By 2010, this entire package was owned by about a dozen different junior companies. Each of those had gone to the market, raised a little bit of money, and done their exploration. Come 2012, combined group spent about $25 million in exploration value, but with the downturn in the junior market, the majority of them, other than Underworld and Kaminak, that were able to have a big exploration success early on, were able to continue their option payments. So this entire package came back to Sean, along with all the data and the work that had been performed. And so Sean, took that opportunity to sort of revise his approach and what he thought going around. He obviously very much believed in the district and the opportunity. He felt there was many more discoveries to be had, but his revised approach was one whereby he elected to put all of the properties into one basket, work with one group. And he developed a business plan whereby he thought, he wanted to take an unbiased preliminary exploration approach to this entire package. He had developed a very efficient system to sort of highlight which properties should have the investment focused on them first. And that approach was primarily based on soil geochemistry to start. This area of the world, believe it or not, was not glaciated. And Sean had discovered that there's a very strong correlation to certain geochemical factors in the soil that correlates to the bedrock composition. And he had continued and developed and deployed a massive soil sampling program. White Gold is now the owner of that soil database, and we've continued to do the soiling on this package for the last 3 years, and we've now have a soil database of over 400 soil samples. And then, so once the soils are advanced and show the anomalies identified, he'll then pursue those discoveries with various other low impact, cost efficient ways of following them up, such as the GT probe, which is effectively a hammer probe drill, which will get into the bedrock, and following the success of that, we'll invest in various geophysical type work. And when all the systematic boxes have been checked, that's when you bring the diamond drill. And this cost-effective approach was something that particularly impressed the Power One Group, who came in as Sean's capital partner in 2016. The Power One Group, as you may know, they've been involved with a variety of success stories in the junior mining sector. Brilliant Resources, which was acquired by Kinross, Aurex, which was acquired by B2 Gold, recently Continental Gold, which has its 10 million ounce deposit in Colombia, was acquired by a Chinese group for a little over $1 billion, which also had Agnico and Newmont as partners. And that disciplined approach with the opportunity to control a district in such a great underexplored jurisdiction as the Yukon is what brought the Power One Group involved, and also interested Agnico to come involved as a 20% partner early on and put up the majority of the capital to execute that 3-year exploration program to flesh out all these new targets. And so come 2017, the companies went and just started to continue to work on all these different projects in a totally unbiased fashion. Everyone had their favorite, but they said, let's put all our biases aside and get to work. As soon as that started, the company was immediately fast-tracked sort of beyond where we thought we'd be by that time, when we had the opportunity to buy the Golden Saddle deposit from Kinross. Kinross wasn't particularly active with the project, and we had various meetings with them, and we came to the discussion, the arrangement that Kinross, who fully still believed in the potential of that asset and the upside of the entire district, would roll their project into White Gold Corp, take back 20% of the company, continue to have exposure to that asset, and as well gain exposure to the balance of the 1 million acres which the company had. And from our perspective, that was a great opportunity. We now really sort of solidified our valuation with a resource that was a little under 1 million ounces at that time, to add to our what we thought was a highly prospective greenfield package. So that brings us to today. So White Gold is a very busy company. We had a $13 million exploration program. A lot is going on at any given time, and sometimes a little bit difficult for the market to keep track of. So what I like to do is divide our work up into three buckets of a pipeline. Oh, let's go back here. Of where activity will be happening at any given time. So the three projects or three buckets are more advanced, or I'll start at the beginning, are greenfield projects where we'll perform these soil sampling, early exploration type techniques to look for brand new discoveries. When we have success there, which fortunately we've had actually quite a bit of success in the last couple of years, which I'll get into, that moves us into the discovery stage bucket. In that discovery stage bucket is where we'll perform preliminary drilling. Our preliminary drilling, we do our first pass with a RAV drill. It's very cost effective. It's very low impact on the environment. We drill 100 meters at a time. If those results come back and look prospective, it's at that point we'll bring in the diamond drills. And that'll be more sort of when it gets to either in the discovery stage, and assuming success in the discovery stage, it moves into the advanced stage bucket of work, where we now have our Golden Saddle deposit, the ARC deposit, and our QV deposit, which totals about 1,000,008 ounces, which we've been able to successfully grow over the last couple of years, which I'll get into. It's just sort of a summary of what we did last year: $13 million, 1,700 meters diamond drilling, 75 RAV and RC holes, and a ton of other work. And where did that get us? So the big exciting news, which I think a lot of people are here to get an update on, is our Titan discovery on the Hen property. This was a brand new discovery, never been drilled, first time soil sampling for ourselves, part of just the standard protocol, an interesting piece of property. The soil results came back sort of, literally broke the register at the lab. It registered a 100,000 ppb golden soil result, which is the limit of the machine. Typically anything over 60 or ppb is something that's anomalous that we'll follow up on. And prior to this, our best soil anomalies were in the 4,000 ppb, and that led to the discovery. We continued our other surface type exploration, grab samples in the 100 of grams per ton, and we were just able, this came up right at the end of the season, we were able to get literally a couple RAB holes into it, and very happy to report we've had probably for sure our best drill hole, maybe one of the best in the Yukon, where we drilled 72 meters or 72 grams per ton over 6 meters within a larger mineralized zone of over 32 meters. And this soil anomaly sits on a big magnetic feature, which is very encouraging for us. We have building theories now on how this can continue. The size, it's over 400 meters by 400 meters with other similar targets on that property that will be certainly followed up in the upcoming season. So this is brand new, hot off the press. A lot of work's going to be coming out of this starting in the late spring when we get active again on our property. So that's something we're certainly very happy with. An example here, unfortunately not enough time to go through everything we've done, but the Vertigo was a big discovery from last year, somewhat similar to the Titan, although the Vertigo is on our JP Ross property, which had some drill work done in the past, some very high grade stack structures in different areas. And we had hit a couple of big structures last year with the RAB and the RC drilling, and we followed it up this year, and we're quite successful in identifying at least 6 structures. We identified continuity of these structures to depth and along strike, particularly trending towards the southeast on that one different target. This is an area which is very unique for us in terms of exploration success and discovery in the Yukon, in that we think this is actually a highly likely source of the placer mining that's going on in that area. This is a very rich placer mining district, and some of the geochemical signatures in the samples that we've had through our drilling and surface exploration have very similar characteristics to the placer gold that was mined out of the creeks in that area. So this was very interesting. It was a big focus for us this year. We were very successful in identifying the continuity of that one target. What was equally as exciting for us is that along this property, there had been between last year and this year another half dozen or so other targets identified with similar characteristics, or what we believe to be similar potential. We worked up those projects over the course of this season, through that systematic data-driven process with the soil sampling, the probe, the trenching, the geophysics, the mag work, and we're able to put 2 or 3 very highly targeted holes into each of those to try to suss out to see the potential for each of them. And from that group, 4 or 5 of them came back with very high-grade near-surface results, which in our mind is, a bona fide new discovery, validating the abundance of near-surface gold in that trend. So that trend's now been extended to about 15 kilometers by 15 kilometer area, and we are extremely excited to, head back there next year to follow up on that success. Just sort of quickly here. This is a little bit of a different view of that same area. You see the Vertigo. Vertigo is about 25 kilometers from our flagship deposit and about 10 kilometers from the Titan, which is just to the northwest. So we really are, believe we are uncovering the footprint of a major mineralized system here, and what we think is going to be a camp with the potential to produce gold for hopefully years to come, which is exciting for us because that's the reason we got into this. We view this as, entering into a new district, like something that could have been akin to the Timmins Camp or Red Lake 60 years ago, and we basically own almost all of it. Here's our Golden Saddle. This is our flagship asset. Like I said, we bought it. It was around 1 million ounces through our drilling over the last couple of years and reanalysis of the modeling work. It's now grown to about 1.5 million ounces. Within the sort of the proper body itself. We've also done some step-out drilling, aggressive step-out drilling, where we've had other new discoveries between last year and this year. Very exciting. This is near surface, new deposits within sort of a 5 kilometer radius. Last year we came up with the Golden Saddle West, which was 750 meters to the west. And then this year, this is the Golden Saddle West. And then if you see here, there's the Ryan Surprise, which is another about 1 kilometer further west from the Golden Saddle. And last year we had some tremendous high-grade hits, which we on our RC drilling, and we followed that up with diamond drilling this year and had some great high-grade intercepts following up on those holes. So we really see some mineralization continuity there. We're currently modeling that, and we believe this is a phenomenal way to add ounces to our current deposit. Another huge success this year was that the ARC, which is a lower grade but resource, but on a much bigger footprint. When that, there was some speculation of whether or not that was refractory. Through some analysis with our partners at Agnico, we did some metallurgical work and came back with the conclusion that that is not refractory and can be processed with some pre-treatment techniques. And basically that opened up that whole entire anomaly, which you can see is the largest anomaly on that property, as well as some similar mineralization on that northwest trend to the left, which is about 6 kilometers itself. Like we did at the Vertigo, we've done some RAB drilling along that trend to the west there. This year, those results are still being processed, but again, we're looking just to basically extend the footprint here, see what we have, and then work with our partners to kind of define, the best path forward. The Ryan Surprise we just talked about. The VG zone is a little deposit about 10 kilometers away from the Golden Saddle. That was, again, another Sean Ryan discovery. It was owned by Comstock. We worked out a deal with them where we acquired it at the beginning of this year. I think it was a very timely acquisition on our part. 230,000 ounces. We did some drilling on that this year. We think it has a lot of opportunity for expansion. And at the north end of that property, it's actually getting close to the Titan and to the Vertigo, and we see a lot of new untested anomalies there with a lot of similarities to those different targets. So a very highly prospective property with ounces to add to our balance sheet. This is the Betty. This was a discovery from 2018, right on trend with Newmont's Coffee project. Again, another brand new discovery for our company. But as you sort of can see, we have a lot going on and need to sort of pick and choose our battles each year. We didn't touch that in 2019, not for any other reason other than, we had our game plan with some of these other properties, something that's very exciting. Actually, this was probably the most sought after property in the package when we first did the deal, and very eager to follow up with that property in 2020. And here's sort of a highlight of some of our other projects, which are in various different early stage of exploration. A lot of this information is on our website, or I'll be around. We're at the show. Our booth's just on the other side of the wall. They're happy to chat further with anybody about what we have going on and why we're so excited.